This is The Process Shot. I'm Michael. I'm stuck in a haunted movie theater, and I've seen She Freak, a 1967 exploitation drama from director Byron Mabe, which is essentially a loose remake of Todd Browning's Freaks, but if the story focused on the main villain instead. Villain is a strong word, but that's one way to describe this movie's protagonist, Jade Cochran. Wishing to escape her life as a waitress at a roadside diner, she quits and takes up work as a waitress at a traveling circus. Her ambitions are much higher, though, and once Jade learns who owns the circus, she does what she can to get on his good side. Over time, though, she becomes her own worst enemy, as her callous and amoral behavior further leads to antisocial tendencies, cutting off anybody who would have called her a friend. For Jade, her biggest concern is none of that at all, other than staying away from the freak show, and she's not afraid of expressing her disgust about it, no matter who's around to hear. Despite the change in its point of view, this movie does hit pretty close to the story of Freaks, following that film's themes of manipulation, exploitation, and physical appearances betraying moral alignments. It is a bit more streamlined, focusing entirely on Jade, rather than presenting a cross-cut look at the circus and its community. As a result, things become a bit exaggerated or even underdeveloped, especially when it comes to how Jade moves on up through the world, no matter who she has to step over to get there. It makes it feel like every other character is made more for her story and development, which in one sense is entirely appropriate for Jade, but is still a bit limiting, especially compared to the source material and how it was able to use its world building as a way to indirectly build up the divide between the human and freak worlds within the circus. In this movie, all we get is a brief glimpse of relatively tame sideshow acts before Jade decides that they are all disgusting creatures. The sideshow actually doesn't even show up in any major capacity at all, at least until the ending, which is where the movie takes almost wholesale from the Todd Browning film. Either way, to put it simply, the movie is pretty much a poorly written character drama, even more so than it is an exploitation film, unless I'm forgetting the definition of what that is. Then again, with the production value on display, it would at least fit in with other movies of the genre. Pretty much everything is shot on location at an actual circus, with a relatively lengthy scene of construction work, which was probably added not only for realism, but to stretch the runtime out a bit longer, which could also be said about other scenes with Jade walking through the circus and riding the attractions. Cinematography and camera work is pretty much pointing at whatever the script says should be happening and hoping that the final picture looks pretty. I don't know about prettiness, but there are a few points where the crew remembers that they're at a theme park, and they get a few nice shots while actually on the rides. That's about as creative as it gets, though. Anything else is just practical, which can also be said about the film's editing, if you can call an abundance of long takes and master shots editing. There really isn't much else in the movie's defense, honestly, although I will say that what is here is actually impressive. This is one of those cases where there is enough to indicate a desire to tell a story unlike most things that were out there, especially in the exploitation circuit. But it was a desire that was too much for both what the filmmakers were actually capable of telling and what the budget could actually accommodate. Even so, I feel like they did the best that they could to get what they wanted across, but whether or not it was successful is something I'll leave up to professionals. She Freak, Byron Mabe, 1967. 2 stars. Again, it won't be up everybody's alley, but I would recommend giving it a watch. That's it for this review. If you liked it, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews. Yeah, this really isn't as close to Freaks as I thought it would be. I wouldn't be surprised if it was based on, like, someone's recollection of that movie that skipped everything besides the basic premise and the ending.